Could you please introduce yourself briefly?
안녕하세요. 제 이름은 세바스티앙입니다. My name is Sebastian Borget. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the Sandbox. The Sandbox, for if you're not familiar, we're creating a decentralized virtual world where anyone can make 3D content, games, and experiences, truly own them thanks to blockchain and NFTs, and be able to monetize them the way they want.
Yeah, sounds very interesting. These days, metaverse is everywhere, right? I think you can feel better than anyone else, right? So when people talk about the metaverse, they usually think of the virtual world or virtual reality or something like that. So what do you think the true metaverse is? What are the key factors?
So one thing I can say for sure is like the metaverse is not just virtual reality. Yeah. The metaverse will touch all platforms and devices, whether it's web, mobile, PC, Mac, AR, and eventually VR. And so we see the metaverse really as this myriad of virtual worlds where anyone can make 3D content and can access more immersive, creative, social, fun, interactive experiences with an avatar. That avatar becomes their new digital identity. That's a representation of themselves in their world. And they can take that avatar, they can take all the content they earned or they bought or they created from one world or another because it is their ours, they own it thanks to the technology here, blockchain. And that's really the vision of the metaverse, being able to create an whole open economy on top of assets that people own, whether it's like their gaming item, their wearable, their equipment, their virtual land, their virtual houses, or that avatar.
Then people can have the various identities?
Yeah, I think like, unlike in VR where you are the person physically that plays into the virtual world, the beauty of metaverse is this ubiquity. Like you can have one or multiple digital identity, each one for different purposes or for different communities based on interest and use them as you see fit. You can even be more creative and don't just try to replicate the real world and be a man or a woman, but be any kind of creature you like, or even have your external NFTs, your external digital asset that were not created on the platform become your avatar, become that character that can do so many different actions, express itself, interact with others, jump, run, fight, dance, and many other things.
Oh, yeah. So the concept of the metaverse has been around for a long time, right? But why now?
So I think the concept of a virtual world has been there for a long time. We've seen for 25 years already with Second Life, World of Warcraft, more recently Roblox, Minecraft, Fortnite.
In Korean side world.
In Korea, like many RPG, Maple Story, and a few other.
Right.
The existence of virtual world where we use an avatar, a character, to play, to explore, to complete quests, to fight, to socialize. And that avatar can eventually go from not just one single world, but many worlds. But still, those worlds are on to the same centralized walled garden platform, meaning users, they didn't really own that avatar, they didn't really own the content that they bought with real money into those games or worlds, or the content that they created, because they couldn't transfer it outside of the game, they couldn't sell it on marketplaces outside of the game, or even transfer user to user.
Yeah.
The main difference of metaverse is like, and I think it's a concept that's really more recent, that's this idea that the content is truly yours and you can use it the way you want, even outside of the platform where it was originally created or acquired. We've seen since last October the rise of metaverse, mainly because the company, Facebook, we're all familiar with, has rebranded itself into Meta.
Meta, yeah.
So many people have been wondering, wow, a company that's impacting 1 billion people's life on a daily basis is suddenly rebranding itself and changing like its overall direction toward the metaverse. So we have to find out what it is, how we're going to live in it. And the truth is, there's been not so many answers to that question, not so many tangible elements that help us understand or even test and experiment with the metaverse. So people have started to turn out towards science fiction with books and movies, one of them being Ready Player One, or look at existing other worlds, virtual worlds. Truth is, like Ready Player One is like a dystopian science fiction movie that kind of depicts a negative vision of what the metaverse is like. The society is kind of doomed, and people living only in VR as their daily job to escape the reality is not what the metaverse will be. The metaverse is going to be a more creative space, which will provide like millions of job opportunity that will generate a positive impact back into the real world, I think. And we at Sandbox are one of the only main actors that propose a vision of an open metaverse where users benefit from their time, their involvement, for the value creation they bring as they participate into creating that world. Today we have more than 4 million registered users with a wallet, that doubled more than over last year. We have 400 major brands, including leading Korean partners, some of them SM Entertainment, CJ Entertainment, Studio Dragon, Pororo, so Kansong Museum, Dongya. So it's touching a lot of elements of culture, and we're working with our team here to bring even more. So watch out for the end of the year, major announcements, and make it concretely accessible for people, the idea that I can create an avatar and I can start experimenting what those experiences can be, whether they are games, they are social experience, they are adventures, or even like virtual shows, virtual concerts, music clubs, and more.
So you said about the open metaverse. So what is the difference between metaverse and open metaverse?
Well, I think ultimately there should be no difference. Like the metaverse should be open by definition. But because like there's been an over abuse of the word metaverse for marketing reasons by many companies, we have to make that distinction because closed walled garden platform, virtual world, Web 2.0 platform are calling themselves metaverse, whereas there's still that possibility, they still control the user data, and users cannot have that possibility of free roaming and free ownership of their content, which I think should be like a native digital right. So we have to distinguish and move, like educate and promote and explain, like, well, if we want to build really a true digital economy, where value is accruing for all users and not just the platforms, we have to be open.
So in the other interview, you said it is important to be a part of the virtual world, while you were emphasizing the social activities between players in the metaverse. So what do you mean by that?
So I think it's, first of all, like there is this idea that to build an open metaverse, you will need to have many virtual worlds, not just one. If there's only one, a winner takes all kind of situation, we're all falling back into centralization. And the second element is like the best way to experiment what the metaverse has to offer is to make an ID for yourself, to create an avatar, and to start going on exploring those experiences, those games that are available. And that's a great moment to do so, because we've just launched the Alpha Season 3, which features for 10 weeks in total, so until November 2nd, about 98 experiences, including 22 major brands in music, in gaming, with favorite artists, and more. And it's a chance to start seeing for yourself what you can do with an avatar, how you can connect with your favorite music artists like Steve Aoki, Snoop Dogg, Sweco, Avenged Sevenfold, Denmau, among others, Engine, 9chan. Listen to exclusive songs, socialize and play with others in their land, or explore how gaming is evolving in the metaverse, or even how you can access culture, art, education in it as well.
Let's talk about more about the Sandbox itself. So, so many metaverse projects are emerging, but I think there are not that many players that actually there are actual users, or they have shown the actual progress. So what do you think? What do you think of the reason why people love the sandbox?
So I think people love the sandbox because it's simple, accessible, and it's really driven by user-generated content and creativity. That's one of the unique value proposition over other virtual world. Our strong emphasis on, well, the metaverse will be built 99% by users, and we provide the creation tools that are accessible to anyone. Like Voxel, that aesthetic representation is like digital Legos. Anyone can create content. Our Game Maker is a no-code tool, so you do not need to learn a programming language or the complexity of made specific studies to start creating games. People tell us creating games, creating experience is actually fun. They love doing that, and it's important. We're also a space that combines so many brands from different countries, from different culture, and for the first time, I believe there's no other place in the real world or the virtual world where you can play with a character from, you can take your Snoop Dogg, a character from Walking Dead, a Smurf or a Pororo, bring them all together into the world and start building your own story with it,
So
your
cool.
own game.
Yeah.
Publish it on your land and start monetizing it. That's something that we're quite proud and will keep expanding. So we make Sandbox even more unique. And the last thing is like, it takes time to build great products and make them even fun and engaging. So it's great to see there's a lot of innovation and experimentation in the space. It's just like the market might have not been so patient towards like to let the teams, the builder, create more experiences, whether in Sandbox or outside, to immerse themselves. And we feel it's our role to deliver progressively, because this is our third season, so every 3 months, roughly, we launch new content, new updates, so they stay engaged and discover the possibilities.
Now I'm very curious about the early days of the sandbox. So what had changed in terms of the plans or your philosophy or technology, market, and yeah?
So at the very core of when we started Sandbox, there's always been this philosophy. We want to empower players to become creators. And we started Sandbox originally on mobile in 2012, always looking at how we can leverage a new technology and make it accessible to as many people as possible. By then, that new technology was smartphones.
Yeah.
Smartphone offered a new way to interact, essentially via the touch screen. So if we provided a game where just by the touch of your finger you can start drawing and painting and creating 2D pixelated worlds, playing with a periodic element, a physical periodic table of elements, sharing that creation online so other people can access it. And it was quickly a success. So we added over more elements, gameplay, enemies, doors, etc. And over time, we made 40 million installs, 70 million creations were made by users. So we were proud to empower the imagination and creativity of so many people, but yet we had one frustration. That frustration was that basically we were losing creators. Even the most engaged creators, over time, they were leaving the game. And the main reason is like social recognition, social fame was not enough to keep them engaged. We need something more. That something more was the ability to share revenue, a portion of the revenue that we generated as a company, because they contributed to the content that drive the players, that drive the sale, so it's fair. And we couldn't, even if we wanted, the platform, Apple, Google, Steam, they don't allow such functionality. So we felt that there was a big hurdle, and when we found in 2017 about blockchain and NFTs with the first game, CryptoKitties, we saw immediately how that technology could actually solve that challenge. That's really when we had that idea, let's combine user-generated content and NFTs. Anyone can make their NFT, use them into a game maker, and monetize them the way that they want, that would solve our problem. And so we kept iterating. It's now over 11 years that we work on the Sandbox franchise. Always the same philosophy, the same goal, but thanks to technology, we now not only empower players and creators, but now let them benefit from this creator economy and develop a growing ecosystem of builders, of artists, and many millions of jobs on top of this platform.
But through realization and the experience of the metaverse, I think the devices are as important as the software and content. So do you have any plan about that?
So definitely, when we started to work on the new version of Sandbox back in 2017, we decided to make it 3D instead of 2D, to make it multiplayer. We felt that was missing on the mobile game. And we started with PC and Mac instead of mobile, because we felt like creation tools were still more powerful on PC by then. And so right now, Sandbox is still accessible on PC and Mac, but not yet on mobile. Mobile is definitely on our roadmap for 2023. And once we move to mobile, I think like we'll really see a big shift in terms of like adoption. We all know like people now consume products and services on the go from anywhere, and being on the PC is a constraint, but it's also a chance because people are more engaged, more dedicated, and that's what we're seeing so far with the metric of engagement in our season 3, which are definitely very encouraging and showing that there is adoption of the metaverse no matter the status of the crypto market cycles.
Even before blockchain was born, the games have always been loved by people, right? But why these days many big companies, big game companies, turning into the blockchain game companies? What do you think?
So I'm also the president of the Blockchain Game Alliance. We started in 2018. We were just 8 founding members. Today we're over 400 members, and we have among those members both native Web3 companies created recently, but more and more a growing number of like gaming studios like Congregate, Join, G2A, Atari, Square Enix, Ubisoft, just to name a few. Also traditional investor, Bitcraft, Existinzi, and a few other, which were backing traditional gaming funds. Now they are moving into also understanding the crypto. It's definitely interesting to see that founders, entrepreneurs, creators, they are interested by the technology, the potential of that technology. And that's the role of the Blockchain Game Alliance, is to showcase what can be done, how blockchain technology can enable to create games where users own their asset. We call about player-owned economy, whether it's through like token or NFTs or full decentralization that enable players to participate into the overall governance of those games. I'm really happy to see that development, and I think it's what's happening. It's way different than what some old conservative gaming media try to depict. Like, no, players do not hate NFTs. No, developers do not hate NFTs. It's just one side of, and it's becoming a more and more minor side of the story. So embracing change and following the example of games that are doing it for the real good reason, like it shouldn't be speculative. They should, the developers should genuinely want to give up power or to share power with the community over the game design, the game creation, and the game economy. I think it's the best way to go.
So what do you think of the essence of the game? So these days, many blockchain games only focusing on the P2E. So there is kind of perception blockchain game is not fun. So what do you think of the essence?
Well, that's exactly to my point. Like P2E is a business model. It's not an end to something. So we shouldn't forget that games, core loop gameplay has to be fun. People should enjoy doing action, and there should be a sense to the economy. The economy cannot be self-feeding from new entrants. That's, if not, that's a zero-sum game, and we've seen that it's definitely not going to lead to anything like successful there. We want to use that technology and those new business models to create new, different entertainment, form of entertainment, gameplays, to innovate. And I feel like it has to be done. It's not easy to understand because, like, imagine you're a game developer and you come from a background of like 5, 10, 20 years doing traditional game design, premium or freemium, where you have strict control over economy, of your issuance of different items, game elements, and so on. And now suddenly you have to think in a paradigm where like those items could potentially be 100% into the hand of players. The economy, you don't balance it anymore, etc. So there is a new learning curve, and we say video games are turning into full economic system. And like designing games and designing economic system is challenging. And that's the challenge, but it's also the opportunity to create something where we have fun, and at the same time there is a reward for people. It doesn't, and it's a fine balance between two. It shouldn't be all about the reward. It shouldn't be all about the fun. Now it should be a great balance of the two that will please to different audiences.
So recently I saw some free-to-play blockchain games. So I don't need the NFTs to play games. So what do you think of the role of NFTs in the blockchain game?
So I think it's part of people experimenting. We're seeing now a hybrid model, trying to get people in for the fun and the core gameplay. And if they decide like they want to move into like more serious game, they might acquire an NFT and potentially through that unlock additional feature and additional possibility to earn rewards. We're such in a nascent industry, like play and earn, play to earn. Blockchain gaming is just 3-4 years old. It's not like we have yet found the exact successful model. So I encourage creativity, I encourage testing, and we'll see if that's the right approach.
What should be achieved to fulfill the level of the people's expectation in the blockchain game?
Well, I think there's always the two angles. Like, are you trying to convert existing players into from traditional gaming, free to play or premium, into blockchain gaming? Or are you trying to grow the overall gamer market, which is roughly 2.5-3 billion gamer, and enlarge it by attracting new audiences who maybe before were not playing games and might find the incentive, the appeal, or the difference of gameplay actually more interesting to them as like a new kind of experience. I'm more in favor of the later. Like the video game market can keep growing, in my opinion. It will go to 4 billion, 5 billion gamers. And by making it more inclusive, designing for new type of audience, that will maybe not decrease the other console, multiplayer gaming, mobile gaming, etc. It's just like it's going to add another segment to what like already a pretty large, significant offering.
So I think it's the last question. So what would you say to users or fans who support the Sandbox and watching the Sandbox grow, including me and my brother?
But thank you for being part of like this adventure and early in the community. We hope that you're having fun, either as a creator or as a player.
Or investor,
Or investor. We hope that, or landowner maybe as well. We hope that you also had a chance to play into the most recent alpha season and share feedback with us on like what you feel, what you like, what you dislike, how we can make it better. And we're really excited to see like how we're growing the Sandbox itself as a platform, hiring and building more offices and branches around the world, but also growing an overall ecosystem on top of it with Metaverse Builder Studios, architects, agencies, platform, marketplaces, and other services, so that like the metaverse can become even more real and even more tangible to as many people as possible.
So yeah, thank you for the time today, and I think it's very exciting conversation. Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah.
thank you.
And enjoying the time in Korea. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.